Hey, I'm Todd Knock, and you're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics.
Much different
Dead
vibe.
silence.
Yeah, no.
Dead silence. It's eerie.
You would think, after 16 years and almost 1,000 episodes, Mario's exempt. But maybe one of you would pick up on the fact that something must be said.
It's weird. I don't know what to say. I can't say woohoo.
I know it feels weird to say anything because I've been Pavlovianly trained to shut the f up during that 30-second window.
I never want you to shut the f up.
You do all the time.
No,
well, you did until we fixed my audio issues. Now you want me to talk loud.
You sound crystal freaking clear right now. It's gorgeous. It's
not
so
baffling, dude. Like we were saying offline, like the solution after all of these last fucking few year at least is that my work computer has a super fancy like security system in it, and we kind of postulated almost randomly because we ran out of other things to try that maybe that was what was causing an audio lag, and I was pretty dubious that was it because I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. But we now have the whole thing running through my 15-year-old son's old laptop, which was no longer, and it is working like a fucking charm. So I think it was the security thing.
Yeah.
Who was that? Holden? Who was that?
Yeah. So Holden's basic ass laptop that he doesn't even want to use anymore is running with an Ethernet cable and the Yeti, and according to Vince, he's very happy with the sound of it, and my very expensive fancy laptop that's hardwired right into the FiOS modem is just running on the side here, so I can look at what I've been reading. So there you go.
Yet another example of the scourge of capitalism.
Yes, exactly.
We are a bunch. Yeah, we are. Capitalists suck.
They're taking pictures of you when you pee, but not us.
Wait, what?
You don't know what that laptop's doing.
I just sent you one, Vince.
Thank you. Oh,
that's why everybody needs a laptop webcam cover, dude.
It's called a thumb. Hey, everybody.
Sometimes you need both thumbs. Depends on what you're up to.
I only need 2 fingers. It's 11 O'Clock Comics, episode 925, and I am a very confident Vince B.
Oh, look at you, confident. It's true. And, of course, when it comes to confidence, few people are more confident than ninjas, and that's why I, of course, am Thomas S. Arashikage.
Oh, the clan Arashikage. You are not. You're Jason Wood, and back again. Read the show notes to find out why. It's our good friend Mario.
Hi.
Number
2.
You're so enthusiastic. I like that.
Fresh off his off-Broadway run.
I did. I just got done doing some Shakespeare. It was fun.
Oh, I thought it was Okakata.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just in my private life.
Nice. That's the one with the towels and the naked people?
If you say so.
Okay.
Mario, are you generally a fan of Shakespeare, or was just that your local company was doing Shakespeare this time and you thought, it was fun?
No, I haven't done a stage play for about 7 years, just because of life, right? But then when our local company was doing, it's the first time they have done Shakespeare at this theater since 1977, which is the year I was born. And they just so happened to be doing Twelfth Night, which is one of my favorite Shakespeare plays. And I really wanted to audition to try to be Sir Toby Belch, which is one of my favorite Shakespearean characters. And then I got cast. So I was super excited about it. And I probably won't do a play for 7 more years.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You know I love you very much. But I don't think...
You?
Yes, I do. You know I do. I don't think even you could get me to sit through Shakespeare.
Oh, you don't like Shakespeare?
I loathe Shakespeare.
Listen, there's a lot of dick jokes in Twelfth Night.
Well, yes,
but
it's like Sudoku. You have to decipher it before you get to the joke.
Yeah, but the thing about Shakespeare you have to remember is that he was writing this for a bunch of drunk people who had nothing better to do. Like people nowadays think that Shakespeare is like highbrow, right? But he's not. He is the lowbrow of the lowbrow.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
he was
aware
like
of
the
that.
sitcom writer of
Yeah,
the
yeah. It's just I find
it would be funny to write like that.
the language is just too cumbersome for me.
Yeah, I mean, you're not the only one that thinks that, but I mean,
I think it really has to be seen. It is people that like study it like in like English, degrees and stuff like that. It's wrong. I think it's completely wrong because Shakespeare was written to be watched, not to be read.
Nice,
right?
It's interesting you say that, Mario, because back at college, many of my friends that weren't finance majors were English majors with the idea that they were going to law school, and we got into a conversation one day about what was the harder path, and I was like mocking them, saying like, "Well, how could you possibly say getting an English degree is like as hard as getting a finance degree?" And again, because we were going back and forth, and the long and the short of it is, they challenged me to take a Shakespeare class with them, and I also challenged them to take a finance class, but for reasons that we don't have to get into, they couldn't really quite do that because it was harder for them to get approved to do it. But anyway, so I took a Shakespeare class with them, and I aced the fucking thing, and I thought it was an absolute breeze. So again, that doesn't mean much in the grand scheme, but I am a big fan of Shakespeare, not only because I genuinely like the work, but I love the fact that I was able to rub my English major friends' noses in it. So,
yes, leopards and spots.
Yes.
And if you want to rub your friends' noses into the amount of money you saved on all those comic books you love so much, you go to cheapgraphicnovels.com. Cheapgraphicnovels.com has everything with a spine. Omnibus editions, trade paperbacks, manga, we love that. OGNs, all that stuff.
Artist editions?
They got I tend not to look at those.
But they got them, though, I'm saying.
They do have them. They art books, all of that stuff for a mere pittance. It's just a shred of that retail price. And
it almost makes you wonder if Max is insane.
No, Max is very level-headed.
Nah, he's crazy like a fox.
Yeah. Yes. And boy, you knocked me right off my track there. And all you have to do is order something very small, a book or two, and reply to the email confirmation by saying 11 o'clock comics. My buddies on the radio internet thing said that you're the best, and that's why I'm here. And Max will reply with free shipping on your next order. So much fun, so much savings. It is the best deal. So go to cheapgraphicnovels.com.
Love it.
Yeah. Yes.
So last episode, Mario was trying to get us hyped for Heroes Con.
He's doing a good job, too.
And you were like, bruh, let's save that. Let's save that talk for next week. So we're here. We're here. So yes, we are freaking hyped. I mean,
less than a month, motherfucker.
Yeah, and we all missed last year. None of us went.
Yep.
This year we all are making our triumphant return, and
we're all going to get COVID, and it's going to be great.
It's funny you say that because 2 years ago was I got COVID coming at Heroes.
Super spreader.
Yeah, I did get COVID. Yeah, at Heroes, that is true. Full disclosure. But that being said, Heroes is less than a month away. It is going to be amazing. I feel like half of the Westin is going to be EOC peeps. We've got a bunch of peeps coming that have never been to a con before, that we've never even met, which is pretty awesome. Some of these people have supported us online for literally over a decade.
Yep.
We're going to get to meet them, which is pretty cool.
Can't wait.
Yep. Amazing, as always is the case with Heroes, an amazing artist alley. Over 600 artists are confirmed for this fucking thing, which is just insanity. You go to San Diego and it's like there's like 100 people at an artist alley. Like this is like 6 times that for a show that is really only focused on creators and back issues and stuff. So it's just super awesome. It'll be great to be back in the NC. Hopefully we'll get some nice weather. Mario is our 4th roommate, and because of the fact that for some reason, I don't know how this happened, but because like Heroes is every year at the Westin, but for some reason there's also another big conference happening this year at the same time. So rooms were very scarce. So we should have some interesting anecdotes when we do our recap, because 4 grown-ass men are going to be sharing a room with 1 bed. But, But, you know.
Jesus.
That's okay. That's okay. Listen, we're not above... We're not above sleeping on the floor. We did it for many years before when we were all.
Yeah.
Remember that one New York Comic Con we had like 15 people in a room.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
And
it was like a ashram. But
Tom King was in there that one year.
Yeah,
that was at C2E2. But yeah, similar thing. Yeah, he slept under our pool table, which is ridiculous. So it's going to be a blast, man. I can't wait. I'm super excited for it. I just and I'm actually really happy, low key, that I'm not moderating any panels this year, because I usually do that as a kind of like a thank you, because they treat us really nicely. But I didn't. They didn't ask, so I didn't volunteer this year, and I'm kind of liking that I'll have a much freer schedule because of that. So it'll be dope.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's a great con for meeting and talking to artists, creators, writers. It's also a great con for shopping, for actual comics and collected editions.
It's a great shopping con.
It is, and it's also a wonderful place to get your eat on.
Oh, we're going to get some eats going on.
Yeah. So
I doubt Vince has looked at the list of attendees much at all, because he doesn't generally.
I glanced at it. Yeah, I mean, there's one that I was checking for, and I knew he was going to be there, but Michel Fife. I knew he was going to be there, so I'm like, okay, I can relax. He's on the list. Whoever else comes is just gravy.
Roy the Boy's going to be there, Vince.
I know he's been there like many years. We've been there.
Oh, well, okay, cool guy. Hey.
Well, you don't pay attention to that because you're not getting art from him. You don't care. You have a bias.
Thomas, what are you talking about?
You have a bias against the old stuff. You're a.
Oh, that's
whatever.
Ridiculous. Now you're just seeing. This is libelous.
I'm kidding.
This is libel.
I'm kidding.
No, I know.
I'm getting a hug by my son, by the way.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah, get going.
Vinny B, man, gonna see you in 2 weeks, my guy.
What do you say? He'll see you in 2 weeks.
For the morning.
Yes.
You see me.
Yes.
He said you're going to see me get effed up.
Nice. Before Heroes Con, I will be seeing Vinny Beats, the legendary Vinny Beats, for his sister's wedding, which is quite a monumental life event. But yeah, it's crazy. But Mario, did you look at is there anyone there that you're stoked to see, like in particular?
I mean, like, just, I like to see FIFA. I like to see Rug. I like to see those guys.
What are your guys' thoughts about the fact that, I guess I'm putting on the spot asking you this on air, but what are your thoughts about them, maybe you don't even know this, they're keeping Ed Pisker's booth. You made me think of it when you brought up Rug. They're keeping Pisker's booth, and Pisker's brother and sister will be manning the booth, and I guess in some form of, it'll be set up like a tribute, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I think if that makes people happy, that's great. I mean, it's a little awkward from my just being completely candid. I think it's going to feel awkward for me, to me, because that kind of thing is a little. But again, if it makes other people happy or feel some kind of sense of closure, then great.
Yes,
I'm all for
it. I'm going to have a hard time not being emotional.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
I'm going to go up and talk to Rug anyway. It would have been weird to it's going to be different. Going to see going to see Pitzer and Rugg and Sholey this year is going to be different anyway because of Ed's passing. But then if it's also a centerpiece of tribute to Ed in the moment, it's going to be so. Yeah, but again, that is what it is.
But I'm going to make a point of. I mean, they don't know me from Adam, but I think it's mandatory that you need to go up to the siblings or the family members and just offer your condolences because. Yeah, I mean, what more can you do?
Yeah, that's fair.
Man.
That's fair.
That's Parzano in you, Vince.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, when one of your own passes, you need
no matter what.
Yes,
you need comfort.
No, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, and it's just because in terms of a creative individual like Ed, who. Have provided for us in feed our souls with art and yeah, for them to just be there and then not, I don't care what anybody says, there's a part of us that is missing. Right?
Right.
Collectively. So you make the survivors known. Like, I enjoyed his work very much. I thought he was extremely talented. I'm sorry that he's not around for you anymore.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's
fair.
it. I mean, it's very simple, but the things like that, I mean, yeah, it's it's very hard to say.
Sure. And again, not to switch back, but just I did want to of the people there. The one I'm probably most excited about that I've never personally had a conversation with before is Mark Buckingham. So I'm pretty stoked that he'll be there.
Nice, yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And
Alan
I got to
Davis
load
will be
up
there. He's been to Heroes before though, but I obviously I worship the altar of Alan Davis as well.
Yeah.
I for my 50th birthday, which is this year, I commissioned an Alan Davis domino. In fact, may be done and in his possession at Heroes for him to bequeath to me, which will be insane if that happens.
Oh man,
Nice.
we're gonna party up if he gives you.
Yeah,
that.
we're gonna tear the
We're
roof
gonna
off.
party
if
up.
it's done. Yeah.
I'm gonna buy you shots. You ready?
Well, I don't know. I might be like still hungover from the wedding. If any beats tries to get me to do shots.
Yeah, we're not having them all back though. I wish we were.
What kind? What's the? I mean, your Italian weddings. It's open bar, right?
Yeah, it's
Hesitate.
no, it's a lot of wine, red and white. The standard Yingling and the light beers that everybody likes so much. There's a mixed drink. There's sangria. There's like a bunch of stuff.
What are our dinner?
Oh, there's grain. Joey got a bunch of grain, alcohol, and yeah.
What are our dinner choices?
Grain alcohol?
Yeah.
Right. People are going blind at this thing. Jesus.
That's all right. I'll pick their pockets.
What is this, 1997? What is grain alcohol for?
Hey, dude, I'm just saying. I have no control over any of this. The actual
You guys making Borgs? Are you drinking Borgs while you're there, Jason?
the ceremony's up to me. Everything else was up to them. So
What are our dinner choices?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know. I don't. I'm telling you, I don't pay attention.
I want to hear on a comic podcast.
It's got to be some
what
kind
the
of
dinner choice is.
It's got to be some kind of meat. I don't know. I don't. I want to talk about comics.
All right, fair enough.
Yes.
Heroes. Join
Heroes.
us if you can.
Yeah. I have something.
Cuddle you at Heroes in our one-bedroom room.
Well, listen. We're going to be in there for 6 hours a day to shit, shower, and sleep. Right?
I'm still going to cuddle.
Oh, I'm ready for you, man. I'm even going to shave my legs for you.
Yeah, because your hair's so thick.
Well, it's easier. I was a joke. That's the joke. I have almost no hair on my legs.
We'll put some duct tape on it. Just rip it off.
100%.
Nice. I'm not sure Jason will vibe with this, but I know Mario will.
Oh, okay. Way to make me feel like shit.
No, why? I don't think this is your vibe, but it is. It's from Fantagraphics.
Oh, it's totally my vibe. We already talked about this.
No. Fuck you, Jason.
We already talked about how wonderful it sounds to me.
Okay, well, let's run with it then, because it's almost like Cannonball Run.
Which I love.
I know. That's why I just said that. It's almost like Cannonball Run without the race. Lots of big stars in this thing. It's written and illustrated by Tim Lane. It's called Mythologies and Apocrypha, #1.
Oh, I got this, but I haven't read it yet. Yes, let's hear about it.
Oh, no, if you didn't read it, that's...
Oh, I absolutely want to hear about it. I'm so excited. I almost was going to talk about this tonight.
All right.
I didn't get to it yet, so I want to hear about it.
It's an anthology.
I'm excited.
Good. It's an anthology, but one of the stories takes the bulk of the issue, and it's called Steve McQueen and Frank Sinatra in America, Part 1. The whole gist of this book is an intermingling of truth and fiction. Some of the events in the narrative actually happened in real life. Others, not so much. And it just details a sequence of seemingly disparate events that involve Steve McQueen and Frank Sinatra that would eventually lead to their becoming friends on the set of the 1959 film Never So Few. But along the way, You get commentary by Walter Cronkite, Wolfman Jack, Sammy Davis Jr., Howard Cosell, Elvis. There's I'm guessing this is a fictional stuntman named Eddie Bigger, actual producer Hilly Elkins. So you have Steve McQueen, that was a television cowboy, right? He was noted for his portrayal of cowboys.
Yeah.
So he went to Sammy Davis, who had a reputation of being an incredibly fast quick draw. This is true. This is very true. But Lane takes that and crafts it into a fictional quick draw contest on the planet Mars, which is not the planet Mars. It's actually a set used in Edward Cahn's film It, the Terror from Beyond Space, right? Sammy was known as the fastest draw around, so he taught McQueen. And in this contest, to put an end to the speculation as to who was the quickest draw, you have Johnny Cash, James Arness, the original Thing, Desi Arnaz, McQueen, and Sammy. And they quick draw it out, but the craziest thing is they have a little gizmo with them, which is a U.S. Air Force tracking device that could gauge speed down to the millisecond, right? So it gets weirder. They're standing there on this barren Mars-like set, and they have these weird costumes and cheap-ass plastic masks on their faces. Legend has it that it was filmed on the sly. Somebody with an 8mm camera filmed it. And the footage was eventually viewed by Sergio Leone. And this little incident was the inspiration for the famous shootout scene in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Like, what is happening? What is happening, right? This is complete fabrication, right? And then it gets into Sammy Davis Jr. on Jack Egan's radio show, and he made the big mistake. Actually wasn't thinking, I'm assuming he wasn't thinking about the actual words coming out of his mouth, because he took a couple of shots at Frank, and Frank didn't like it because the show was aired in Chicago, and that's where all of Frank's Goombas were. So Sammy was originally going to be in Never So Few, but because he pissed off Frank kicked him from the project and put Steve McQueen on it. It's crazy. Like, that part of that is true. Mm-hmm. But so then you get Sinatra denouncing rock and roll to Howard Cosell. He calls it the most ugly, degenerate, vicious form of expression it has ever been his displeasure to hear. There's a smattering of faux advertisements through the book that are very close to Chris Ware level designs. Like, Lane can not only illustrate beautifully, he can also design the hell out of pages. There's a Steve McQueen action figure in the book, but the thing that pushes the story into the weird category, I mean, it's already weird. There's this occasional glimpse, single panel, of a scraggy, shirtless guy pointing an ancient remote at what we can assume is his TV. Remember the remotes with like one or two buttons forward and back?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when you actually pressed them, it went ka-chunk, like that kind of remote. He's pointing at the TV, which we can't see, and it results in a scene change in the narrative. It's very odd. Plus, there's a handful of panels along the way where the subject of whatever sequence it is, like someone will be speaking, like say Wolfman Jack, and then there's a panel where the speaker's face is split. Remember back in the day when your analog TV the screen would flicker, and you'd get half of the image on top and half of the image on the bottom, and you had to adjust the gizmo on your TV. That's part of the sequential art. Like, what the hell is going on here? It's bizarre, but it's bizarre, but it's beautiful. And I think inevitably Lane is going to be compared to Charles Burns for his line and Chris Ware for his design. Two people anyone would give their eye teeth to be compared to, right? Especially in this arena, the graphic arts, right? It's a very high production book. Cardstock covers, great paper. There's a reprint in the back of the Junkman, which I talked about back when we took a look at Now number 11, the anthology from Fantagraphics. It's a real winner, but it's bizarre. Like, Wolfman Jack is just going on about how he loves Frank, but he would never play Frank's music on the show because his show was for the children of the people that listen to Frank Sinatra, but he gives him his props. And then there's a, like that recent thing with Drake and whoever it was, Kendrick, that they did that rap battle.
Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah. There's a similar incident in this with Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley. That I believe it was Frank's variety show called the Timex, whatever it was, Timex show. And you have Frank Sinatra singing an Elvis tune, Love Me Tender, for a verse. And then Elvis was singing a Frank Sinatra song, Witchcraft, for a measure or two. And then they would eventually combine and sing with each other. And in the book, Elvis was so fucking nervous going up against Frank. And in reality, Frank was at least reportedly nervous to be on stage with Elvis because you had two generations, right? You had the crooner and then you had this new rock and roll stuff. And Elvis is visibly distraught during the sequence. But it's on YouTube if you want to see it. The original footage is there and Elvis is out of his element, but he's not nearly as broken as he is in the narrative in the comic. So you can actually research a lot of the stuff that's in this book and see the real footage of it. Mm-hmm. It's great. I loved everything about this.
It sounds great. My only question is, like, what is the approach artistically? Is it like photorealism? Is it cartoony? What is the...
Well, he draws, it's like Charles Burns.
Yeah.
Okay,
when I flipped through it the other day, I thought, like, I totally got a Charles Burns vibe when I flipped through it.
And I hate like hell to say it's like Charles Burns. It is.
Yeah, right.
But Lane has his own thing going on. It's not as...
Absolutely. But it's
right.
the closest thing you could think about that would be a good comparison.
Yeah. It's brilliant. Okay. It's freaking brilliant. And eventually there's one splash of color that is an extrapolation on the events of the movie Never So Few. It's just great, man. I like, this is the thing. I went on our Slack and I said, it's wonderful when a book lands in your hands that, you didn't, you ordered it and it, was purged from your memory and you get it a couple months later and it's like, I didn't anticipate this thing. I didn't plan for it. I got it. I read it and I was like, holy shit. I need a lot more of this right now.
Nice.
It's great.
As you mentioned to me,
but that's all there is, right? That's all there is. Just that.
No, there's more. There's gonna, yeah. It doesn't.
I was gonna say it's a bunch of issues, and it's gonna. What you mentioned to me, Vince, is that because I was like, I don't know why I didn't order this because I always order Fanta like heavily, and you were right. It's because it's an issue form, and I generally don't like I zone out with the issues and assume it'll come out in a great Fantagraphics hardcover at some point. So
right, but it's Fantagraphics, so as a single issue, it's more of a boutique item. Like I said, the production's very high on it. So eventually it will be collected, but this one, I'm not going to wait for the collected edition. I'll probably double dip when it comes out, and it's gorgeous. And it's black and white for the most part, aside from that movie image. But as the issue progresses, like red is used as an accent color. It's great. Man. This is why I read comics, this book.
Yeah. Fanta, man.
Yeah, you got to give him credit.
All the credit, dude.
Yeah. What else do we have, you jamokes?
Jamokes.
Chairman of the board. Yeah. You like Sinatra?
Well, I mean, in what way? I mean, You mean just his music? You mean him as a person? Like what?
Well, I don't care about what you think about him as a person, but do you appreciate how he transformed pop culture?
Oh yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, who doesn't love a good crooner? I mean,
Yes.
he's the king of the crooners. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Without Sinatra, there'd be no Michael Bublé, and then what would my Christmas playlist look like?
Right,
So
the Christmas playlist would suck.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I remember that year. I think it was like, here's how important Frank Sinatra was to me. We listened to Frank Sinatra in our house growing up. My dad would play Frank Sinatra on the record, right, the vinyl records.
Same.
I mean, I still remember, like, when he died in, I believe, 1998. Like, I had friends it was in the summer. It was like June or July. I had friends from college, including my future wife, call me to offer their condolences to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like that in our family, too. I can remember my uncle, who actually worked at a record pressing facility, local, obviously, that when he passed, my uncle was at the house, and he was sitting there with my mother. He's like, "Oh, Frankie, no." Like, Frank Sinatra was huge in our family. He was like a god.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't appreciate.
It's that weird Italian American trilogy of Frank Sinatra, Jesus Christ, and John F. Kennedy.
You're not wrong.
Right?
You're not wrong. Dean Martin too was highly regarded. Obviously, because my parents,
lesser Frank.
right? My parents were Italian and grew up not racist, but not informed. No, they didn't bear ill will to anyone of color, but it just wasn't the way they went about it. But right. I had to discover Sammy Davis on my own.
Yeah.
He wasn't a thing.
You also know the Italian racist term in your mind.
Yes, and that was used. Yes. Never by my mother and father though. By uncles.
My grandfather.
Yeah, my grandfather. Yeah. Yep. I did a little story when my grandmother was coming over to America on the ship. She was maybe like 7, 8, and they were hungry, so they sent her to find food, go to the kitchen and find food, and the person dispensing the food was black. And he gave my grandmother a loaf of bread, and she said, "I'm not going to eat that. Your hands are dirty." Like they never saw black people. They just didn't, right? So, yeah. But I mean, that kind of stuff is evolved out of as a family evolves. That kind of stuff falls by the wayside, right?
Yeah, thank goodness.
Yes, it's true. But I mean, they weren't racist, but they just didn't have the capacity to address the fact that there's not only one color. You know what I mean? And I may be shortchanging them. Not so much with my mother and father, but with their parents. It was unknown. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to 11 o'clock Italian Descendantry.
Yeah, let's swerve. Talk about some comics that don't involve racism. Yeah.
So, Vince, remind me. I know that you just recently got on after the Batman Dylan Dog Deladera stuff. You finally went back and read Something Is Killing the Children, which you talked about.
Yeah,
and I was obviously very happy that you did that. You finally got on board. But in that, when you did that dive, did you also read any or all of House of Slaughter?
I read all of House of Slaughter up until I believe it's 28. And 29, I haven't read those. I read everything available for House of Slaughter that has been collected. So newer issues, no.
Okay, no, I mean, okay. So that, so you were actually ahead of me up until this week because I had read the first 2 arcs of House of Slaughter, which were called The Butcher's Mark and Scarlet, which ran through issue 10, and then I hadn't read anything since. but I have now read up through issue 24, which I believe is the last one. So, yeah, it's weird. It's weird because there was a time when I felt like I was much more plugged into like what was the hotness in like in the hobby, like beyond what we liked specifically. Like I'd be like, oh, that's a hot book, or oh, people really love that book, or don't care about that book. But it's been a long time. I mean, it's been years now. I often don't really know. Like, so it's easy to know if a book's super hot, right? Because like everybody's talking about it. But like, I don't know like how most comics are like perceived or enjoyed, or whether they're popular or not anymore. So I don't know like where House of Slaughter fits relative to Something is Killing the Children, which was, needless to say, breakout smash hit. So like I have no idea if like a tenth of the people read House of Slaughter that read SIKTC. I don't know if it's like 100%. Like I have no idea. I really don't know where it fits relative to the smash success that Something is Killing the Children feels like.
So here's my experience. My experience, Jason. I've read the first oversized hardcover of Something is Killing Children, which is like 1 through 19. Yeah. Right. Coming soon. Like I'm waiting on that next oversized hardcover, which is coming really soon. And I have purchased but not read like 3 or 4 trades of Something is Killing, or House of Slaughter.
Okay. Yeah. So, but that said, I mean, I think it is as good as Something is Killing the Children. Like I think they are legitimate companion books that are equally engaging. I don't see any reason why anyone that has tried and likes Something is Killing the Children shouldn't also, if they have the time and the budget, try and enjoy this. I think it's awesome. And for those that don't know anything about it, I mean, we've mentioned it a few times over the last few years, but it is a companion book in that it is focused entirely on the houses and the other people within those houses, and they spend a lot of time, almost like an upstairs downstairs kind of a thing, where you get a look into each of the houses by the color of their masks and the roles that each of those houses play. It's more like Harry Potter, right? Like there's like each house it's got its own vibe, right? And they kind of they each view each other. They each have a lower view of the others and think that theirs is the most important. And we get these anecdotes, and each of the arcs has revolved around a different protagonist or two. But it's soap operatic in that you still kind of keep an eye on some of the other characters doing their thing too. But like the main quest, if you will, of each arc is somewhat different. And one of the things that I really think needs more attention is that although this book is also created by Tynion and Deladera, and they're listed as the co-creators, for the majority of this book, it's been drawn by Letizia Cadonici, and I love her work. I mean, it's certainly very much of the same school as Deladera, I'm sure by design, but I just think, I mean, she just captivates me. I see a lot of Jay Lee in her. I love her work, and actually, she was at Heroes 2 years ago, believe it or not, when this book first broke. Everyone take a drink. I got a domino from her. But I really think this book is fun, and I enjoy that each arc is a different setting entirely, with a different. As cool as Erica Slaughter is, and she's an awesome character. I kind of like that you kind of jump into a different character and their adventures with each of these arcs. And I just wanted to bring it up because I know you sung all of this stuff's praises a couple weeks back, and I wanted to just punctuate that by saying, like, I was way behind on House of Slaughter, not because it isn't good or I wasn't enjoying it. I just had fallen behind, and I made the point after you kind of brought it back to the forefront to catch up. And now I can't wait for these next few issues. I mean, I just think it's phenomenal. I really think it's as good. Just like with Something's Killing the Children, I think it's remained as good, 25 issues in as it was when it started, which is often very hard to do for it to feel fresh. There's a book, Vince, that you and I both read the 12th issue this week, and I think we both came to the same conclusion that, like, wow, it really has fallen off from what it was. And this is not the case here. I think these books are just as strong as they were at their starts. And I don't know if how long they plan to keep both of these going, but I certainly hope that they plan on keeping them going for a long time. And that probably lines up with like how well they're selling. And again, I have no idea if they're selling well enough for these things to keep going or not, but I'm going to assume they are because they do feel like books that a lot of people are aware of.
Yeah. And it's not redundant as some spin-offs can be. I think there was care taken to not repeat a lot of the events and tones and stuff from the main series, where this is its own encapsulated thing that just so happens to further flesh out the thing, the order that is front and center in the killing the children. It was a really smart move, I think, because you could see it as capitalizing on a very popular series.
And that's what it is.
Sure it is, but it just so happens to be done with a level of craftsmanship that we don't normally see with spin-off series. Like, look at what I'm not comparing something as killing the children to gargoyles, but look what Dynamite's doing with gargoyles. Like the first series clicked with a group of people, and now there's all these little other series that like, oh, come on. But I mean, when you talk about capitalizing on a trend, that's Dynamite. That's their whole business model.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I got to say, there's a bunch of different characters throughout this, like I said, with each arc. But I mean, are you kidding me with Bait? I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, like we're introduced to for those that aren't with the series, this is kind of like a house of. I guess are they all orphans? I don't know if they're orphans, but it's like wayward children that are trained by this ancient order to be monster hunters,
right,
or facilitators of monster hunters.
They're all pretty broken, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're all broken. I don't know if they're orphans per se, but they're all broken kids. And we're introduced to a kid named Bait. They call him Bait because he's got no arms. Both of his arms have been amputated, and so they call him Bait because his basic job is to lure monsters out, right? Like he's an easy mark.
He's the best.
But we're introduced to him at first as like this kind of almost like quirk, like oh, look at this kid that's like and he's beating one of the other guys at chess. That's like how we're introduced to him, and but then in one of the subsequent arcs, he is the protagonist, and he is sent into a very dangerous situation and is the hero, and it's like, I gotta say, I don't think I've ever seen a no-armed hero before. I mean, especially having to fight monsters. So it's just really, it's visually stunning, and I love the character designs, and I love Letitia's, and it's, again, I think she's very analogous to Deladera's approach here, but like the way that she plays the monsters up, and they do a great job in both of these books at building suspense with the monsters. Like there's I think it was like the second arc of this book, the one called Scarlet, where one of the kids he's part of the Scarlet masks are generally like the caretakers, behind the scenes people that are deemed not able or capable of going out and like fighting on the front lines. So they're kind of the Edwin Jarvises of the group, basically. But he's sent out on a mission because they think it's benign, but it turns out, of course, not to be. And there's a sea creature, like a massive sea creature. And there's a scene that Letitia draws where he's in this houseboat and it's kind of idling and it's at night and he's kind of getting ready to go to sleep, and they pan out and you see this page where you just see this like slight shadow under the water at night, and you realize it's a giant monster. And it's like, it's evocative of those moments where, I don't know if you've ever been deep sea fishing or you've seen maybe YouTube videos of it or whatever, like where you see a shark in the water. And even if you're in a boat and you're perfectly safe, because it's not like, we're not talking great whites, you see like a brown shark or something, and it's like, you're fine, but it still freaks you the fuck out because you're always like, I could be in the water, and like it could be right under me and I wouldn't know. Oh yeah. Like that kind of thing. Again, it just hit me right. Like I'm like, man, that is just a beautiful depiction. Instead of having the monster just like pop up out of the water and there it is, it's like no, it's under the surface right there. You don't even know it. And it's like, I don't know, like stuff like that I think is so smart. And
well, it's like the opening scene of Jaws.
Yeah, 100%, for sure. Yeah. For sure. I just think this, I guess they call this all stuff collectively the Slaughterverse, but it's just top notch stuff. So, 2 thumbs up.
Question about that, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I have like the first several trades of House of Slaughter, but I have not read them yet. The reason I have not read them is because I'm worried that it will inform the next huge oversized hardcover of Something is Killing the Children? Is it completely separate, that I can just read it completely separate and it does not impact that at all?
I wouldn't say completely separate. I mean, Erica's absence / AWOLness, which you know she's absent and AWOL from the start of Something Killing the Children, but that is a point of contention and at issue throughout House of Slaughter in some ways. So I'm trying to think. I don't think there's anything in House of Slaughter that like overtly impacts what Erica's up to because she's off doing her own thing. So I don't know that you'd feel like you were spoiled, but it probably is safer to read Something Killing the Children chronology first, I would guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Mario's got something bizarre going on with his audio.
Has he got like a retainer in?
It sounded like he was getting whipped at one point.
I thought he had a retainer going on.
It's cool. I like it. It's flavor.
Weird.
Like a wobble.
What do you have, Mario? In comic book form.
Yeah. You know what I reread last week?
What?
So, you know how DC does these remastered, like they'll put out a reprint. It's a reprint. They'll put out a reprint, and it's like DC remastered. And they just recently put out Sandman number 19, and I bought it because I don't have it in single issue form, and I know it's a reprint, but I was real excited about it. Jason, you've read Sandman, but I don't know if Vince has.
Vince has read more Sandman than I have, I think, right?
Is happening. Yeah, I've read all of Sandman.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
What? My dude, of course I've read Sandman.
Yeah, I feel like Vince is the only one that's read all of Sandman. I think I may have caught up to Dap at this point because I've read probably like 2/3 of it so far. But
the only Sandman I haven't read are the titles that they picked up at DC, that the Dead Boy Detectives and the other stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I haven't read any of that.
Right. Anyway, I picked up Sandman 19 remastered. This is the William Shakespeare Midsummer Night's Dream issue. Neil Gaiman, Charles Vess, Steve Olaf. I guess Steve Olaf redid coloring on it, or did some type of coloring update. But it's a beautiful issue. It still is a quite an amazing standalone issue of a comic. You can read it without knowing anything about Sandman, more or less. But if you do know about Sandman, it is even richer. The concept is that, issues before this, Sandman, Morpheus runs across Shakespeare in a pub in the past, of course, and, makes a deal with him that he will make him a teller of stories. And the only payment that Morpheus requires is 2 plays written for him as commissions. And this is the first of those 2 plays, the second coming really at the very end of the Sandman series. I think maybe even the last issue is the second one, right? So this is A Midsummer Night Dream, which, Morpheus has Will Shakespeare write for him. Will Shakespeare shows up in the English countryside, finds Morpheus, and says, "You will perform your play here for my guests," and the guests are the fairies, the Titania and Oberon from the Shakespearean play, and the all the characters that are in the Shakespearean play exist as actual characters that they were based on from the world of fairy in Sandman. It's a great single issue. It really is. The year it was released, it won the World Fantasy Award.
Yeah, I think it won a Hugo too, right?
Maybe it might, maybe, but I think I don't know if this is apocryphal or not, but I think it's true. Is the World Fantasy Award? It won the World Fantasy Award for best story or best short story or whatever the category was.
Yeah,
and the next day, the committee of the award met and changed the rules so that the comic book could not win again because they were so incensed that this comic book won the World Fantasy Award for best short story or whatever.
Right.
Fuck them.
Yeah. I read this like a year ago for the first time when I was finally dove into all the Sandman hardcovers that we have, the Absolutes. I remember this issue vividly. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a fantastic issue.
It is.
It really is.
I agree. And as in terms of conceptual continuity with the Shakespeare stuff, as not a fan of the man's work, this issue also won me over. So if you can feature Shakespeare and one of his productions front and center in an issue and you captivate me, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
And I think the genius also in it as well is like, as a single issue, it's great, but like it really works into the whole Sandman universe because Puck comes back at the end of the run and it is critically important to this plot and what happens. Mm-hmm. Puck is what moves the story along to its finish, right? A Shakespearean character, right? But I love it. I love this issue.
It's a good thing. Yeah.
Charles Vess is Charles Vess is top of his game.
Never anything other though. He's always firing on all cylinders. That guy.
I feel like isn't Vess going to be Heroes? I feel like he comes to Heroes a lot.
Ooh.
Pretty sure he's coming. I know he's been there before when we've been there.
Yeah, little bit of trivia. Charles Vess, or was it Kaluta? No, I think it was Vess, illustrated the cover of the Monster Mash album.
Ah, okay.
The Monster Mash, the
LP. Yeah, it was when Monster Mash.
No, really?
Yeah, when Monster Mash, not the original one. This is because I'm.
We do the Monster Mash.
Yeah, I'm not the. It was a 12-inch Bobby Boris Pickett album that had Monster Mash and a bunch of other horror themed.
All right.
Yeah, not the 40, not the original. But it's either, I think it was probably Kaluta, maybe Vess. I don't know. Either Kaluta or Vess. So this makes no sense. But anyway, I love them both.
Well, they're both Sandman artists.
This is true.
Yeah, that's the continuity, yeah.
That is the continuity that we love.
It's fun.
So much.
A lot of times we talk about how writers are often given credit for these classic comics and how it's not right. And I think generally that's a fair criticism. But it's weird because with Sandman, I don't know how you just not say Neil Gaiman's Sandman because he's the only continuous part of it. There's so many different artists on the book.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
When I think of Sandman, I just think it's Neil Gaiman's thing. And I don't mean to disrespect all the amazing artists that are part of that beautiful journey, but it's there were just so many rotated in.
No, there's a reason. There's that issue of Multiversity where the Superman of the universe is Sandman, and he goes Neil Gaiman Sandman. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
It's Neil Gaiman Sandman.
Mm-hmm. It so is, and
Vince, I'm looking at your list, and I just want you to know because I love you. I read several things that I wasn't planning on reading because I saw them on your list this week. But you have on your list, in my opinion, the only Free Comic Book Day issue that I thought was worth.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you about that. Mm-hmm. And you know what I'm going to say. Mm-hmm. What do you think about the Baroness joining Joe?
Yeah, I'm 100% fine with that. I mean,
it makes so much sense.
Yeah, listen, I have immense eternal love for Larry Hama. So,
oh boy,
I stand by what I said when Skybound got this license, which is that I was hopeful that they would reinvigorate the franchise. And I thought it was cool that in the midst of a very long, measured launch of their own version of the G.I. Joe universe, which again we got Duke and Cobra Commander, now we're getting Scarlet, and we're going to get Destro. Like, I think that's cool, and I'm really enjoying most of that. But it's slow intentionally. They're building to it, till which I assume will eventually get to an actual ongoing G.I. Joe book set in the Energon Universe continuity. But then we're also getting, and kudos to them for this, we're getting the G.I. Joe Real American Hero, which is the continuation of the original Marvel series that then went on to IDW and now is being continued at Skybound, and Larry Hama's continued to write it. And it's really neat that Larry Hama's gotten to write this series for now 30 plus years. Like, that's cool. But that being said, I mean, for as much as we gushed about the first issues with the amazing Chris Mooneyham art, I think the writing's pretty rough. I mean, honestly, and again, I want Larry to continue getting a paycheck, and he deserves all the flowers forever. But I'm not loving that comic because I do think the stories are pretty
very campy.
Very campy. But to your point, I don't think anyone that considers themselves a diehard G.I. Joe or Transformers fan should get too bent out of shape about reinvented continuity, or I think that's silly, to me, because it's they're toys that got turned into stories, and who cares? I'm just tell me fun stories if they make sense in you, if you're going to reboot the universe. So to your point, yes, we find out in this Energon Universe 2024 special, which is the free comic book day issue, that the Baroness, at least for now, has joined G.I. Joe, and I have no issues with that. Why in the hell not?
Yeah,
she's awesome. So why the hell not? And again, I'm sure it'll be short lived. I mean, let's remember. I mean, Storm Shadow is a member of GI Joe for much of the original run, right? I mean, it's
very smart.
Yeah, and listen, Magneto has been a leader of the X-Men, right? And it's not unusual for villains to have heroic arcs, particularly in these ongoing soap operatic long form universes where we have decades of stories featuring the same 30 to 50 characters, and you have to kind of keep moving them around and repositioning them. So yeah. But
I mean,
I'm surprised you bring up the Baroness, because I think the bigger aha from this free comic book issue is we get the first official looks at Megatron,
right?
In the Energon Universe, yes,
and why he's all bent out of shape, and the events leading up to their arrival, and his own arrival on Earth, and Cobra Law. I thought that story was great. Oddly, in my opinion, I think it's almost cliche to say this, but I don't think he's ever looked this good.
You know what? I don't know how to say this without it sounding dismissive, but I didn't realize it was Otley at first. It was, which is for me a good thing. I was like, "Oh, this is Ryan Otley." I'm like, "Oh shit!"
I like how he signs his name.
I consider myself a Ryan Otley fan, but I think we've talked about this. I loved his creator-owned work. I didn't necessarily as much love his Marvel work, but yeah, I'm with you. I think this looked great.
Yep, a little bit of Hot Rod in the Void Rivals section, and the capper was the Baroness in the G.I. Joe ongoing. I just think they can do no wrong with these books right now.
I'm loving them. I'm loving them all.
So good. Bone to pick with Jason over some of them, but hey,
Jason and Jason.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're not wrong, but I think you are. Right? So I can't say you're wrong, but
you just disagree. Yeah.
I disagree. Yeah. And you shouldn't disagree with saving money ever. Oh. Because cheapgraphicnovels.com will save you a lot of money on your omnibus edition, straight paperbacks, OGNs, manga, all that stuff. You can get it for next to nothing. And free shipping if you paid attention on the front end of this episode. Also, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/11 o'clock comics. Lots of stuff. No heavy lifting. We give you many things for your contribution. So check that out. My Desert Island mystery mailbox arrived recently.
Your what?
Desert Island, the Brooklyn bookstore. They have, how they do the mystery mail?
Yeah.
And this was a banger of a box. I can use that because I'm cool. We get a hardcover called Frenzy, which is a monograph of the work of Tetsunori Tawaraya. I love his work. It is eye-searing, day-glow colors. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. It's that wonderful smell of the ink on the paper in this thing. And it's just, I mean, if you're familiar with Tawaraya's art, it's all insanely rendered fantastic creatures and organisms and dastardly goings on. But the thing I really want to talk about is Desert Island recently published a book. It's a thick-ass book, maybe 250 pages on garbage paper, just like stuff of this subject matter should be printed on. It's called Forbidden Drawings. And it is a nasty, filthy book. Every body function and orifice explored in disturbing detail in this book. And I love it, but I kind of had a laugh in a sardonic way when I think of the crap that Mike Diana went through in the 90s for Boiled Angel. Boiled Angel pales in comparison to the stuff in this book. And Diana was put on trial, did jail time, and was on probation for many years for publishing a comic book. And this thing comes along a couple decades later and shows what progress is like in the form of obscene drawings. And it's kind of sad that Diana had to go through that, but it just makes you wonder, like, the changes that come with time, right? I mean, this book is very disturbing. I don't want to describe the stuff that's going on in here because,
Well, you want to. You're just not going to.
No, I mean, it's a broad spectrum of stuff going on here. Some looks consensual, some doesn't. And some appear to be older, and some appear to be younger. And there is gadgets and toys and piercings, and it's nasty. It's a nasty, nasty book. But it's just, it's brings me back to that time when Diana was set up and had to endure a complete change forever in his life because of drawing pictures. And yet this thing comes out and it's like, yeah, okay, it's cool. What else we got? You know, it's not even a blip.
Yeah.
So check it out. I mean, if you're brave, check it out. Forbidden Drawings and Frenzy by Tetsunori Tawaraya from Desert Island.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have something also in the disturbing category, but much probably more palatably disturbing.
Oh, so yeah, this is, I mean, I have extreme taste, but some of the stuff is like, what?
Yeah. This is, it's a book we've talked about before, so I'm doing it in your travels because it's in a new form, but we have mentioned the book and reviewed it to some extent, and that is Dwellings by Jay Stevens.
Yay.
This is the third form that it's been in. It originally was released in 6 single issues, like zine stapled, indie comic style issues that he put out himself. And then Oni Press took those 6 issues and put out 3 beautiful sort of prestige format, soft cover, not quite trade paperbacks, but like comics, issues, but like really prestige quality issues so like two of the old issues each, so there are 3 of those. And then now, the form that I'm bringing up tonight, they put out a wonderful hardcover collection of all of this content. So whether some people are saying all 3 issues, some are saying all 6 issues, but it's all of Dwellings. And as we've discussed before, Dwellings is Jay Stevens draws the entire thing like it's Harvey comic and but it's Twilight Zone stuff. It's horror. It's Twilight Zone horror. Just disturbing horror stories that really kind of set you on your feet because of the cuteness of the illustrations. It's really not dissimilar from the from what Patrick Horvath is doing, right? Like in the sense that like he's taking a Richard Scarry vibe aesthetically and giving you a serial killer story. This is taking a Harvey Comics cutie vibe and giving you lots of really dark horror anthology stories. I'm here for that genre. Like if we're calling that a genre, I'm here for it. I want more of that. Like I think I like the juxtaposition very much. It works for me. So Honey did a great job with this beautiful hardcover. I had read 1/3 of this because I was late to the party because Oni was doing the Kickstarter. So I got the last of the 3 and read that when we discussed it, but I hadn't read the first 2. And now I have, and it's all awesome. It's just, the first 2 are unsurprisingly as great as the last one. So, really great collection of horror comics that I think that most would enjoy because it's got some pretty gross, dark stuff in it, but I think the way that it's rendered makes it probably more palatable for a lot of you. So check it out.
Nice. What should they read, Mario?
I don't know about read, but definitely watch.
Oh.
I would say. I'm going to say if you, and I know a lot of people are watching it, but the X-Men '97 series just wrapped up this week, and on Disney Plus, and I could not be happier with this series. I am really surprised at how they took a 90s, animated series, which I had really high hopes for when I was a kid, and it was okay. It was kind of like, it was fairly cheesy and not terribly well done. It had a, banger of a theme song, but, Disney Plus comes back and redoes it in a way that is emotional and like heartfelt and everything that I wanted that original series to be. They figured it out and they stuck the landing this week with the finale for the season. And I love this. I mean, like, I never thought like I would be loving a Marvel animated series as much as I am. My wife comes downstairs. I'm watching the week's episode. They're like, "What are you watching?" And I'm like, I'm watching the X-Men cartoon. That's a remake of a 90s series, and I really, really, really have enjoyed it. It's not necessarily fan service, but they know what to do. They know what to do to make you feel the feels. I'm not saying it's manipulative, but it's close, right? They've got their hook in my heart, and I think they know they do. And I think it was an exceptional series.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. Oh, go ahead, Vince.
No, I was going to say there's a fine line between manipulative and cleverly conceived. Right.
Yeah. I completely agree, Mario. I mean, I haven't watched the finale yet. I have two episodes left because I'm watching this with Holden, and we'll probably. I'm guessing we'll probably watch it tomorrow night. But like you, I did not have a very favorable. I mean, despite I consider myself a massive X-Men fan, I did not. In fact, I would say I actively disliked the original version of this. And I've often thought that that's a real generational line in the sand where
it is.
The original X-Men 90s cartoon was a massive gateway drug for the younger, like the generation younger than us, for getting into comics.
We're a little too old.
We're in our late 40s, and we're like we just missed that. Like for us, it was like we were already into those characters enough that we thought that this was like bad animation and corny but despite my disliking it, I always gave it props because it was a big tractor beam for the next generation. So when it was coming back, I thought, oh, that's cool and that makes sense because so many people are nostalgic for it. Like, but it's not for me. And then slowly but surely, people like you and Dap and others who started to watch it were like, nah, this is. I mean, it is an homage to that, but it's better animation. It's a more cohesive story. You should give it a try. And like I said, I mean, Holden and I generally try and we watch the cartoons together. It's kind of the thing that we do. And so I was like, let's pop this on and see what's doing. And he loved it. He has obviously no nostalgia for it, and he loves it.
Yeah.
And I think it's great. And I'm with you. I mean, it really is a pleasant surprise. And I think it's reassuring. Not reassuring. But it's endearing to see so many of us old heads loving it, because I'd say our Patreon Slack is we certainly have people ranging from their 20s to their probably 70s in my guess, but I'd say on average, I mean, the average Slacker is probably in their 40s or 50s, and so most of us, I think, we're in the same boat where we're like, we didn't really have much of an affection for the original, and it seems like everybody's in the same boat as we are. Like, holy shit, I gave it a try, and I'm so glad, and it's awesome, and I wish we need more of this kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, kudos to them for pulling a rabbit out of their hat here and really, I think, finding some magic in an unexpected way. So,
yeah, and I think part of the reason it works is because there's so many, like, at the time when you're watching it, like, this is what the X-Men is like right now, right? But now watching it, they're hitting these touch points.
Yeah,
things
that's true.
That we read 30 years ago.
Yep.
They're continuing that idea, and we're looking back at it with the nostalgia and whatever. But like the Mr. Sinister stuff and all of that, right? It's just Cable and Bastion, who's a 97 character, right? Like it's. I think they really stuck the landing. I think they really figured out what they wanted to do.
Yeah, and season 2's been approved, so we're going to get more. So
nice.
Yeah.
Omega Red in it.
Omega Red shows up in a couple cameos, but not.
Yeah, I was going to say not in any prominent way.
Well, Cable's in it. I'll check it out.
Cable's in it in a big way. Yeah.
Nice. All right, and we hope you enjoyed this in a big way. We'll be back next time because we have nothing else to do. And we love comics a lot, so come back for that. But go to a comic shop or an online vendor and buy some comics and consume them, read them, enjoy them, and then talk about them, hopefully with us. And these guys are going to tell you that they love you so much.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely love you, a lot more than I love lots of other things.
Yeah, and more than Vince does. Jason and I.
Oh, well, that's a given. Vince tolerates you all.
You're both.
Vince holds that love, like he holds it close to his heart, and only certain people can get it. I'm trying. I'll try to get it. I won't get it, but I'll eventually. I'll try.
What's the hardest nut? Is it like a filbert? Like, is that like the hardest nut? Like,
filbert? Yeah, that's a hard nut to crack.
I think Vince is like a filbert. Like, it's almost like, even with a nutcracker, you're like, I'm not fucking getting this thing open. Like, what's the point of this even being in the mixed nuts? But then if you're persistent and you get through it, it's like magic. You're like, oh, that's why it's in here.
I'm gonna get him in Charlotte.
You always had me. So what do I have to do? Text you people on the weekends or something? Like, what, is that it? I don't understand.
It wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. I mean, just give me a friendly touch.
Okay, you got it. You get more than that. All right. Thank you, Mario, for spending time with us.
Thank you, guys. I love talking to you guys.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Plus, this serves as like a little wedding of our hero's appetite, because we'll see you in a few weeks. So we got the momentum.
Yes.
Nice. Say bye.
Bye.
Bye. Enjoy your stuff. That's it for that one.